Hey, what's up everybody? Chris here, and today I'm going to walk you through 3 games that I'm currently playing on my Xbox Series S. Hey, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel so you'll know when more content's on the way. So I made a video recently where I highlighted all the benefits that I see in the Xbox Series S. I think the biggest benefit, not just for the Xbox Series S, but for the Xbox Series X and PC, is Game Pass. Now, the 3 games that I'm going to highlight today are all on Game Pass, and I think in varying degrees they're all worth checking out. The first is Halo Master Chief Collection. Now, this game has been out for a while. It's gone through a number of iterations and updates. When it was first released, you might recall that it did have a number of issues with the way online play was handled and sort of the stability of the servers and the matches and all of that. But since then, it has really evolved into a multiplayer gaming masterpiece. Halo is my favorite Xbox franchise. You know, when I was in college, Halo 2 was sort of a big deal. In fact, I remember in college when Halo 2 launched, waiting in line at GameStop at midnight to pick it up, getting back to my apartment with it, and playing it until the sun came up the next morning with a bunch of my roommates, and then having to get all my stuff together at the last second and head out to class. Now, I don't know, that we've really sort of relived those glory days of Halo 2 per se with all the different sequels and, again, iterations of the game that have come out in the time since then, but Master Chief Collection is really a masterful, no pun intended, amalgamation of all of these games, especially when it comes to sort of the multiplayer front. I find myself constantly coming back to this game time and time again, and a lot of times I'm actually just playing the Halo 1 version of the game online with multiplayer because I love the pistol dueling in that. But overall, you really can't go wrong with Halo. If you've never played any of the Halo games, I strongly recommend, if you have an Xbox, get the Master Chief Collection, download it. Halo Infinite, is still a ways out. We're not really exactly sure when that's going to be here, but this is sort of a good holdover for that if you've never played any of the Halo games. And again, it just doesn't get old. I find myself playing it at least once a week online and really enjoying it. Another game that I've been playing recently is CyberShadow. Now, I can tell you that this game is extraordinarily difficult, even from the get-go. I grew up playing games like Ninja Gaiden on the NES, and of course those are super challenging games. In a lot of ways, I think CyberShadow is more difficult than that even. I'm on, I believe, the second stage of this game, and I've sort of stalled with it because it's one of those things where you keep dying, and because of the fast load times and because it's really kind of an 8-bit, 16-bit-ish sort of experience, you can sort of jump right back into it where you left off. But it does start to get a little bit old doing the same thing over and over again and not being able to get past certain parts because of the difficulty. Now, a lot of people probably are going to watch this and say, well, you've just got to get good and don't complain about the difficulty if you can't handle it. And I think there's a certain element of truth to that, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm sort of at this point in my life where I'm not going to bang my head against the wall with a game if I feel like it's becoming cheap or I can't get past something and it's, because the mechanics of it are just a little bit too difficult for someone to manage. I am going to keep pushing through, I think, and see what I can do with this. I don't imagine that I'm going to complete the game, but that's the beauty of Game Pass, right? I mean, you can check out these sorts of games, and if it ends up not being for you, you can step away from it. But if you like sort of that 8-bit era Ninja Gaiden style game, sort of a Metroid-ish approach to things where you've got a lot of verticality going on, almost like Celeste, that sort of thing, then it might be something that you enjoy, and it might be worth checking out for you. The last game that I want to highlight today is called theHunter Call of the Wild, and this is a game that otherwise I would have seen on Game Pass and probably not have thought anything else about. One of my friends mentioned that we should check it out. It's got online multiplayer, it's supposed to be kind of relaxing, kind of fun, and I'll just say right from the get-go that I'm not a hunter, I don't hunt for sport, but I gotta say, this game is highly enjoyable. In fact, I was playing it online with that same friend until about 2 or 2:30 in the morning the other night, tracking a bear, and we could not stop laughing while we were playing the game. In the game, you have animal tracks everywhere, and at first it can be a little bit confusing, and I think breaking into the game and really sort of absorbing yourself in it is a little bit cumbersome from the start, but once you put a little bit of effort into it, it does become a little bit more manageable as time goes on. But anyway, we see all these tracks, and of course we're seeing things like deer and rabbit and all that, and we're like, man, it'd be really cool to see a bear. We find some bear tracks, we find a black bear, it charges at us, I land one shot on it, and of course, from then on out, we're trying to find where it went after it attacks us, right? So I would say maybe an hour to an hour and a half goes by, we're tracking this thing in the middle of the night, it's got sort of a 24-hour day cycle in the game, we finally catch up to the bear, it gets away again, but it's just one of those things that if you have a friend you can play it with, and if you want something that's sort of mindless and doesn't have even music, for example, just has a lot of sort of natural sounds, and really the game looks beautiful. It's just a very sort of ambient type game, right? There's a lot of great sun effects, there's a lot of great natural sounds and other effects that are in the game, and it really is something that you can just lose yourself in for hours at a time. So even though it's not something that I typically would have played, I think it's absolutely worth checking out. And in fact, I've enjoyed it so much that I think I may get some of the DLC, the different countries and areas that you can download for extra packs with that. So anyway, those are just some of the games that I'm currently playing on my Xbox Series S. If you're playing anything that you would highly recommend, please be sure to leave that in the comments below so I can check it out. I'm always looking for new games. As always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content as it'll be coming on the way very soon.